there's a couple of ideas up front here already were mentioned. It will be collecting rainwater runoff from the grass area, but it also looks like there's probably two storm drain outlets that are going into this. I actually can't even tell. Can you tell which way is it flowing? Is it coming towards us or going away?
It's going away into the pond there.
Okay, way to the pond. Okay, so they're capturing water. Rainwater capture you think of as a good idea. So we'll go with that. That's a good idea. You capture it, you slow it down, it doesn't go straight into a natural stream. And hopefully when it gets down to the pond, some of it will infiltrate, but probably not because it's a pond. It's wet on purpose and it has water in it all the time on purpose. It's not ephemeral. It doesn't dry up in the summertime or when there's not rain. It's a year-round pond. So some of that water, very little will infiltrate. Most of it is probably going out the overflow from the pond and then running down to the Conestoga River. Someone else mentioned as we were talking up, very channelized with a hardscape. So it looks like old stonework. It looks pretty, but it's being constricted to a certain space, so it has a certain capacity. It could flood. It could come up out of those banks. It's very straight. If it was a natural stream, we'd want it to have a lot of meanders, a lot of turns in it, and we want it to be flooding up over its banks sometimes whenever there's a rain event. We don't want to channelize it. We don't want to create deep valleys or deep gashes down to the bedrock. So let's see. So anything that goes into it, looks like storm drains are going in here. So carrying all the direct pollutants into it also, and then into the pond. So I wouldn't, if there's fish in there, I wouldn't eat them because it's getting the runoff from all the parking lots and then everywhere else. I wouldn't eat, if there are any fish in there.
Just koi.
Yeah, probably more koi, probably. Maybe some algae-eating carp. If it's you do that sometimes on ponds if you have a lot of algae issues. There's a species of carp that just love to eat lots of algae. So instead of putting more chemicals into your pond or your waterway, you could stock it if you're allowed with some algae-eating carp. We did that at a Boy Scout camp I worked at because there's too much algae and too many plants growing up. We couldn't. It was where we did the canoeing and kayaking and motorboating, and you couldn't really run the motorboat. So we put a bunch of algae-eating carp in there. It's a natural way to get the organic matter down in a pond in that case. So as you're walking around, your first day in the activity, you don't have to point out all kinds of conservation practices. You don't have to have that knowledge of that yet. They learn about that on day 2, and then they get back into that on day 3. What you are looking for, though, and what you'd be putting on your map, is the outline of your school property. So that's what on the maps you printed out for your students. You want to be able to outline your school property. That's your parcel. That's your larger area of study within your local watershed. And you're looking for and you're labeling pervious and impervious areas. So what kind of pervious areas did we see so far? Catchment basin would be a good example. What kind of impervious surfaces did we see so far? Everything else. Buildings. Don't forget about buildings too. Parking lots, sidewalks, all kinds of things. And then on day 1, you're going to take out, and this was a suggestion from a teacher from last year and from one of our advisory board members. Actually, multiple people suggested this be added to activity 1. Take out 2 buckets with you and do a simple demonstration of a simulated storm event. So 2 buckets of water, and you're going to stop at one of the pervious areas that you know of on your schoolyard and one of the impervious areas. You can have a stopwatch or a kid's cell phone, and just for what you're going to pour out the bucket of water, wait 1 minute and do a quick estimation, have the kids do a quick estimation how much of the water infiltrated compared to how much water either ran off, or same thing with runoff, we'll also say formed a puddle. Those 2 relative percentages to give them a kind of with their own eyes, instead of abstract, the difference between runoff and infiltration, at the start of the unit, between pervious and impervious areas. So you're going to stop at 2 spots. One bucket at one impervious area, one bucket poured onto a pervious area. And that's all local for you, what's on your schoolyard. So you get to kind of pick those things out.